What is up, everyone? It's the one and only Brotherhood Healing, and I am back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about why I no longer consider myself a good person. And the reason that is, recently I've been watching an old TV show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And in that TV show, it sort of started getting a little bit boring because I generally started grasping the concept. And within that show, it seemed like there was a common pattern. Well, first reason why I got tired of the show is because, for one, just the entire premise of the show was idiotic and redundant. I mean, honestly, you have some girl from California or LA, wherever she was from. They chose her as a vampire slayer, and she's not the first vampire slayer, and she's not going to be the last. So that lets me know, like, there's really no singular point in her doing this. Like, even if she gets rid of all of them, there's still going to be another person after her that's going to do the same thing. And like I said, just me personally, I feel as though it's redundant. Another thing about that show is the archetypes, or at least the nerd archetypes. So in that show, a lot of the time, the people who are turning into vampires or getting turned into vampires or getting turned into these powerful or evil people, the main ones who were turning into these evil beings were people that were of the nerd archetype or the good person archetype. And typically what that looks like is, like I shouldn't even have to tell you, but usually that looks like the person that you would see getting straight A's, or they were even the school jock. The school jock would fall under the good guy archetype. And like I said, it was a common theme in that show. Like, either they would be a good guy, they get all straight A's, or they're the jock in the school, super popular, can't nothing defeat them. They were the ones that were ultimately turning into these evil beings. And it teaches you a lot about society, and it teaches you a lot about these male archetypes, or the shadow aspects of these male archetypes. It's that deep down inside of these nerd archetypes or good guy archetypes, it's that they feel powerless. Like, the reason a reason a jock is a jock in the first place is because he was at a point in his life where he felt powerless. And like I said, most of the time, I'm just speaking from personal experience. I was a very good, strong athlete because I was bullied and picked on when I was coming up as a kid. And I can understand a lot of the premise of where they're coming from. A lot of the nerd archetypes and such, they were bullied and picked on, and they have no power. And so whenever they came across these evil energies, they saw it as them becoming powerful or gaining power, but it was just a false sense of power. And like I said, with human nature, when you break it down, we are only looking to do one or two things, which is survive and reproduce. And in nature, it's all about survival of the fittest. And just because someone is nice does not mean that they are free of evil or evil tendencies. Like I said, it's not really evil. Like I said, it's just to keep things in perspective. like I said, whenever you're studying this knowledge, you realize that all of this is nothing more than mindset and perspective. That's ultimately what separates it. There's no such thing as good and evil. These are perspectives. So, like I said, when you get into studying this knowledge, you find that nature is transcendent of duality, and it's not good or evil. It just is. So, why do we put such a great emphasis on, why do people put a good emphasis on being good? Sorry. And it comes down to one word. It's predictability. And when you think about it, some of the most dangerous serial killers, or some of the at least the serial killers renowned in the most renowned serial killer, I believe his name was Ted Bundy. He was known as a good man, charming, intelligent. And as we can see, that was to mask. That was nothing more than a mask to hide his true nature. Like I said, we all have it. Whenever you get into studying psychology, Carl Jung talks about the mask, or your persona, and then you have your ego, and then you have the self, and then you have the shadow self. Like I said, all of these aspects make up an entire human being, at least within the mental aspect. And so, like I said, these good men, they were always known in their community for giving back. I remember I was looking at I remember seeing a video about this one woman. I forget her name, but she has survived this serial killer in the neighborhood at the time, because she went to a friend's house. Well, she went to a party. The guy tried locking her up in a van. She fought her way out. But apparently he had killed like over, I think it was like 50 black women, and she was lucky to survive. I forgot her name, but if y'all could put her name in the description, it'll come up to me. I wish I could research it right now, but I don't really have another phone at the moment. So yes, if you remember her name, put her name in the comments. And so, yeah, like I said, this guy that was trying to kidnap her and end up raping her and killing her, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that on YouTube, but like I said, this guy that was trying to do things to her and such, he was known in the community for doing good deeds, giving to people, very generous, very kind. And so it shocked people whenever they found out this information. And like I said, it's not really surprising to me. At least the reason it's not surprising to me is because I understand duality, and that I understand that evil takes different forms. So, like I said, I've been around people who were considered assholes, and I've been around people who were considered good men. And the people that scare me the most, well, don't shit scare me. Let's get that clear. Don't shit scare me. But the people that are very, very scary are the ones that look you in the eye and they tell you good things, and they're very kind. The assholes are the ones that are honest. They ain't gonna hurt a fly. They talk big shit, but they don't match it. It's the ones that don't match that energy that you have to be careful of. Because see, most of the time, evil people are the ones that stare you right in the face, but they mask it. And see, we tend to forget that we as humans are very, we're animals in a sense. Like we are a part of the animal kingdom. And with certain animals have the ability of mimicry. And like I said, we have to think of this world as interconnected. Nothing is separate from itself. We are all connected. So, like I said, we are connected to the animal kingdom. So if an animal has the ability of mimicry, a human would have the same ability, not in a physical aspect, but rather in a mental aspect. So, like I said, human mimicry is no different from a butterfly's mimicry. It's just perspective at the end of the day. So, like I said, with good men, they have negative aspects as well. Everything in life has negative aspects. Let's get that clear. No matter what it is that you claim you are, a bad person, a good person, everything has its shadow aspects. And before I get into the 10 shadow aspects of a good man, I first want to let you know what a shadow aspect is. So, the shadow aspect is the idea created by the psychologist Carl Jung, who was fascinated by the idea that humans have this sort of dark side or negative aspect to their being. And it's a way to balance out a human's mask or their persona. So, am I saying that all good people are evil? No, I am not. All I am saying is that we as humans have cognitive biases that lead us to believe that just because someone has great qualities, for example, a man may have a great family, good kids, a great wife, does not mean that that ultimately makes them a good person, because we are totally negating the fact that we as humans are complex and there is a entire spectrum of qualities and such that we have to consider or be aware of. We have to make sure that we are aware of a person's entire being before we can just place a cognitive bias on them. And what a cognitive bias is just like, for example, oh, he's got good grades, he's got he's very smart, he knows how to fix all the world's problems. No. Yes, he has those good grades and he has that, but that's it. There's nothing else behind that. There should be no other inferences. See, we as humans like to make inferences, but we have to realize, like, just because someone has X, Y, and Z doesn't mean that they can do A, B, and C. So you have to dial it back and just see those things for what they are and ask yourself, what is their opposition? Like, we as humans, we have our light aspects, the aspects that we show, and then we have our dark aspects, the aspects that we are kind of ashamed of showing. And so, like I said, without further ado, these are the 10 negative aspects of a quote unquote good man or the nerd archetype. And one is that they have deep-seated anger and a great capacity for violence. Like you said, in these shows, like most of the time when you see the nerd archetype get a little bit of power, because like I said, they could take that inch and they'll go 500,000 miles. Like they wreaking total havoc. And that's because they were never able to face their trauma and they repressed it. See, a good man is nothing more than a man that has repressed their anger and they haven't found an outlet for it. So it just sits inside of them bottled up until, like I said, in these shows, like I said, in that show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, whenever these vampires ran into them and they cracked that bottle of anger inside of them, they turn into a whole different person. Like that is no longer the nerd that you've seen. Like they become almost like Adolf Hitler type people. Like he will start a whole war. He is capable of starting wars. And the second thing is that they have a savior complex. They're always looking to rescue and fix others to feel good about themselves. Um, I've noticed that a lot with certain people that I was around who had that good man archetype or the nerd archetype. Like they were always trying to fix and do things, like even if someone didn't ask for it. See, the thing about like giving unsolicited help, that will fuck you over. Like that's one thing that I've learned. Never give unsolicited advice. If they don't ask, don't tell. Like I said, because you're the one that'll end up getting fucked up. And like I said, you can back me up. Like, put it in the comments if I'm lying. You've always been the one to give advice, even if no one asked for it. And then they will look at you the wrong way because you tried to help. So if they don't ask, don't tell. 3, they are extremely manipulative. And sometimes they only use the good guy image to get what they want. So I have seen in times when sometimes like they would get into an argument, like they'll put things in someone's face like, oh, I helped you do this, I helped you do that. And then you have to ask yourself, did they ask for your help? It would have been one thing if they asked for your help, but if you helped without them asking for it, then you can't get mad if they don't reciprocate something. Because at the end of the day, you went out and helped someone out in your own good faith or your own goodwill and determination. They didn't ask you, so don't be expecting for them to reciprocate something. And that's, like I said, that's where the manipulativeness comes in at. Like I said, when people come out of the blue and help you, don't feel obliged to return a favor like that. It's it's in human nature to do that, but you don't have to do it. Or you can do it in other ways. Like if they need a certain thing, like you don't have to help them with that certain thing. You can only help them in the best way that you know. Don't be doing things outside of your realm. 4, they're secretly insecure or they seek validation. And they have a fear of abandonment. They have deep-seated fears of abandonment. Like I've noticed that in some of these people, like these nerdy good men archetypes, like they're highly insecure. So they will sort of ask questions, or they'll sort of see like, okay, what can I do to keep them around? You know what I mean? And that's where that manipulative energy comes in. 5, they have a super strong sense of entitlement. Like they'll think that just because they helped you do X, Y, and Z, you need to do this, do that for them. You need to do all of this for them. And that's not the case. Because like I said, you never asked for their help because you didn't need it. It would have been one thing if you needed their help, but if you never needed it and they offered it, that's no skin off my back, big dog. That you helped because you wanted to. I never asked you to. So can't get mad at it. Number 6, they are emotionally detached and they don't like to form genuine connections. Like their connections are face value. No matter how much you feel as though they're actually meaningful. They're nothing more than face value. And 7, they're the masters of passive aggressiveness. Like they're the kings of gaslighting. The good men, nerdy archetypes. They know how to make you feel guilty about something. Like I say, even in certain shows like that, with like the nerds, like they'll be like, yeah, well, you helped me only because you thought I was helpless and da 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 da. And then that shuts up I think protagonist. Protagonist is the hero of the story. Yes, it is. Like I said, the protagonist of the story then gets quiet because they realize, like, oh shit, I really did do that because of X, Y, and Z. And then that fucks them up because, like I said, they were trying to be nice. 9, they are deeply repressed. They're deeply repressed in their lust. And like I said, it's highly evident because they are unable to say what it is that they want or go after what they want because they have a fear of judgment and they don't want to lose that good man archetype. And last but not least, number 10, they have a God complex, believing that they know what's best for everyone and that they feel as though they're the ones that should be in control. I think I made a video on it. I forget which video it is. But yeah, like I said, they feel as though the person that has fame, wealth, and fortune, they feel as though they should be the ones who have it because they've done X, Y, and Z. Like I said, so those things you definitely have to watch out for. This is why I said, like, I'm not a good person. I'm not a bad person. I have the capability to do good one day, and I got the capability of doing horrible, evil acts the next. We all got the capability of it in us. That's the yin and the yang, the light and darkness. Like I said, that's why you have to, whenever people get into this knowledge or information, you could lose your mind and go crazy if you don't have knowledge of self. And this is when knowing thyself is important. So yeah, like I said, this is a video to let you know that just because you're a good person does not mean you're excluded from evil. And I hope, sincerely hope, any person who's thinking of themselves as a good person understands that you are not excluded from evil. Just because you do good deeds does not mean you're a good person. That just means you can do good shit. Like I said, if you like what I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.